Watson, come here. All right, I didn't know what to say to start because this is the inaugural live Trade Ideas new format room. Before I get started, I must do this. I must show you guys the time, space, reality, bend, warp. Looks like there's 6 or 7 people clicking in. You guys are the smart ones. You have figured out how to get here, which is good. Maybe what we'll do is we'll play around a little bit with a few features just to get going. There is a chat room. There you go, Sweetie B. Yes, this is Mr. Steve, and as everybody can now see, the chat is open. It's an open forum, so behave. The background on what we're doing here is, we used to spend this time at Trade Ideas doing our live Trade Ideas University. Hello, Jeff. And 101 yesterday and 201 today. Well, those have been archived and evergreen with current content. They're still available as a playlist. But moving forward here with Trade Ideas and all the new features we're offering, it makes perfect sense to create a new format which is live. And most importantly, as you guys see, it's no longer a go-to meeting link. It's a live format, and it allows people to just click in anytime, any place. I was at the doctor's office the other day. They told me it was an hour wait. Could have probably used something like this. Just easy to click into. So it's always going to be the same link, which is cool. We're always going to do it at noon Eastern. We're going to shoot to try and stay live for an hour, if that's what it takes. If it takes longer, if people have questions, we'll obviously do that. We'll mix it up a little bit as we go throughout the week. But it looks like I'm the guinea pig here to start with, and Michael is telling me back channel that the audio and video is good. And I would assume that it's good because you guys in the audience would probably have let me know by now. Let's see how many people are creeping into here. Okay, so this is our core group, half a dozen or so, probably including Michael. Let's just kind of get started here. The idea and the format of this is, of course, to talk about things you guys want to talk about. Thank you, Sweetie B. First and foremost, yeah, you guys will drive the content. But if it gets, lull, if there's a lull in the action, or if it's quiet, we can turn it into more, market observations. So with that said, my market observation is Apple, because if you missed it over the weekend, last night, right before the futures opened, Apple decided to come out and do what a lot of people thought they were going to do, which is warn, based on what's happening over there to their supply chain and their help in China. Not that it makes any difference to you guys, but I've got my live stream muted because you would hear an awfully annoying delay. Looks like about a 7 or 8 second delay, and that's okay because my sound is synced up to what I'm doing, and you guys are hearing it all at once, and so I can just see it out of the corner of my eye. If I move a chart or something, it's a bit of a delay, but it doesn't matter. This is a much better format going forward. So, as I mentioned earlier, Trade Ideas has a lot of new stuff going on. We just came off the test drive week for 2 weeks, where people took advantage of our platform and everything they can see. And so it makes perfect sense to come in here now and start to really support this stuff in a live format. And so that's what we're doing. Sean McLaughlin says, "Woohoo! YouTube support for the win." Yeah. So everybody can chime in now. Everybody can see, and that's good. Let's bring up my sweet little epic pen because I'm going to draw what I'm watching. Again, I think I'm gonna get rid of all those moving averages for the moment. That's not pretty. That's what you would expect after Apple warns on a holiday night before the market opens. But more interesting, we're here in real time now, and those of you who are regulars of mine know that I like to religiously use this 10-period moving average on a 15-minute chart to determine, is momentum still intact or is momentum subsiding, fading? And if so, I want to get out if I'm in that same direction. So no position in Apple, but I believe Apple is going to be a dictator of the market. Not because it's always a giant weighted stock, but because this is kind of the first news of the coronavirus to hit a possible supply chain. I'm no expert in economy. I'm no what's his name, Paul Krugman. But I do know that when people are not showing up to work in China in the videos, our supply chain is going to be disrupted come spring. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. So I would rather just kind of watch the footprints in the sand and see what the market thinks about it, since the market is a forward-thinking mechanism by about 4 to 6 months, some people think. So I'm going to watch Apple here and see how Apple dictates today. If Apple wants to break back through this downside momentum, then hey, maybe the coast is clear again. But for the moment, with Apple warning and this technical moving average weighing on the price, this is what I'm currently watching. Hello, William. Yep, much easier for people to attend. Hey, we're increasing in size. The word must be getting out. That's good. Okay, so let me see if I can type sign. I just did not mean to do that. There's my chat window. Michael says type something in chat. Something. All right, so pleasantries aside, introductions aside, does anybody have anything they want to talk about, or does anybody have anything they need help with on the Trade Ideas platform as we slowly kind of work out the new logistics here? All right, Lego Days out shows up. Hey, can you overlay two charts? One. Okay, I see two tickers in one chart. No, we can't do that, Lego Days. But what I see a lot of people do is, like, they want to keep an eye on, certain charts. So what you could do is, and it's probably not even going to answer your question, but if you want to bring up a chart of the SPY or the Qs and then just keep an eye on them, maybe put them in a 15-minute time frame to watch the periods of the day. I need to clean that up, so we get rid of post-market and pre-market. We've got something a little cleaner to work with. So from here, you could just put up the Qs. You probably have to put up a second chart for the SPY, but what I recommend doing is you just uncheck symbol linking. And that will be a standalone chart, so you can always just kind of reference what's happening up there, and it doesn't link with all the other ones. But we cannot overlay two symbols in one chart. Sorry. Good question. I haven't seen that one before. And for people using the system, and if you feel like there's something we're missing or we don't have, or maybe we do have you don't know about, you can always email info@trade-ideas.com. That's our main intake line. So whether it is a tech-related question, an accounting-related question, or how do I create a scan-related question, it'll all be assigned to the right person, and a support ticket will be created. So that email address is your friend. info@trade-ideas.com. All right, you are welcome. A lot of people want to know what's up with this Brokerage Plus. Let me give a quick overview on what is included or not included. We've got, a couple different plans for subscriptions at Trade Ideas. The basic or standard subscription, it does not include any of the artificial intelligence windows. Okay, but it does include your basic Brokerage Plus. Now, if you're somebody who trades at interactive brokers online, and you don't like their Trader's Workstation interface, this is a godsend, because you can trade your interactive broker's live account just using this interface and connect it to your account at Interactive Brokerage. And as I was saying, it is included in the Trade Ideas standard price. Now, what can you do and what cannot you do with the standard version? With the standard version, you could pull up Apple and say, you know what, boy, this Apple looks like it might be going lower. Maybe I'm going to short it or whatever. I could dial up Apple here and just maybe change my share amount, 10 shares, and just go ahead and click on sell. I'm in paper mode, so nothing's going to happen to me. But you would easily enter a trade that quickly with your live account at your brokerage. And then from here, you can come in and say, oh, that's right. Steve talked a lot about that. That level. I'm going to just pop in a level here at 320. That's my stop, and now I can quickly adjust it. I'm going to tighten it right there above that moving average I was talking about. So I can turn my back on this trade now. You could turn your back on that trade with your live brokerage account. That's all the stuff that you can do with a simple standard version. Now, if you want to move on to the Trade Ideas premium version, this is where you can start to connect our real-time scanners with an event happening with a timestamp and a price stamp and say, I want that event to trigger an order. So for instance, I have this jam down buy here. Well, I could grab the cloud code, save and share the copy, the settings, that is, of this scan. And I could come over here to strategies and right click and load from the cloud. I could go through all that, but you'll see it right there. The jam down buy is a strategy that goes long. Even though it's a new low on the day, I'm going kind of contrarian. Look at here. There's the low contrarian buy. So PLMR would have been the last one that came through if I had this enabled. So I have to highlight the jam down buy and notice it says off. I need to change that to on. Enable. Actually, I do that down here with the buttons. Enable. On. So if we're talking over the next 40 minutes here and a new symbol comes out of the jam down buy alert window, it is going to pop up on my screen. But we still need to define a few things. We need to define how much do I buy and where's my stop and all that. So let's go ahead and click the instructions. Right click, edit trading strategy. We'll call these trading instructions. It's going to be a long trade. We know that. There's my event, new low, and my filters to show me when I see the new low. Slowly growing in audience. That's good. Second one, tab. Now, if I want to enable this strategy earlier on the day, I got to move that down a little bit because this is an auto strategy. Now, to tie it all together, we're doing an auto strategy. We're combining my alert to give it trading instructions to actually send a real order to Interactive Brokerage live. But we got to make sure we're doing this correct. And what I meant to say was that's the premium version. So if you want to do the premium version of Trade Ideas and you have an Interactive Brokerage account, you can start to tie all of this stuff together. Order details and whatnot. We can come back to that. So that is the premium version. We can start to tie things together. The premium version also allows you to trade what we call our AI. However, to do that, there is a one-time licensing fee of $1,100. And let's just say you use it for a couple months, you leave, you come back, you start up a premium subscription again, you're still good to go because that $1,100 lifetime is a one-time fee, lifetime license. So those are the three ways in which you can use Interactive Brokerage and our Brokerage Plus to really make your life a lot easier depending upon how you want to do it. Now, a lot of people have asked about our brand new limit buy buttons up here. This is kind of a new interesting thing. Let me go back to Apple because I might use this as an example. Now, on my jam down buy, let me show you something here. The predicated stop that comes out, I need to change that. I'm going to put 0 in here. I'm going to change that to filter. And we're going to change this to what Michael Niles taught me. I'm trying to find a way to buy right at the low or put my stop at today's low. So we find above low in dollars, enable that filter. We have already gone in and enabled 0 as my offset. Back to filter. Okay, filter. Above low, how many cents above low? 0. Okay, so today's low. That's going to be my stop loss. Target, I'm not going to put a target in there. We'll just leave that open. So I'm going to click OK, set that back in stone. Now, let's go ahead and cancel these orders. Since we're going to do Apple as my example again, I'm going to just go ahead and sell that. I'm going to cover that Apple because it's starting to go long now. Okay, we're out. There's my sell and my buy tag for a small loss. Let's say I want to use this button now. I want to go back and make sure this is going to be, though, a limit buy. Stop limit. I believe this is how I would do it above the price. All right, we'll give it a try here. So what I'm hoping to do is put a stop limit in here, maybe right about there, and have the setting of the stop loss at 0 cents above low pop in there as well. Let's see if it works. All right, click the buy button once. The next time I click the mouse, that is where my order is going to drop. I'm going to drop that order right there. And it didn't work because Apple is being a butt. Let's try something else. That's weird. I can't shake that cursor. There we go. I might have even done it. Let me go back. I'm going to go to Microsoft. Let's try something different here. All right, so if I want to buy Microsoft, the low of the day is right there. Let's see what happens if we click our buy button. And I want to buy right about there. Perfect. Opening order. It's a stop limit order. If the price travels through there, I will buy at that level. If it does buy and it eventually executes, the stop is already set. Looks like pretty much close to the low there. Maybe I made a mistake, but that is the gist of it. Let me go over here and catch up on the chats and make sure I'm not missing anything. Can I trade through Thinkorswim as well? Dale, not yet. I don't want to say it's coming, but we have a list of brokers that we would like to get to. I don't know if Thinkorswim is on that short list or not, but who knows what the future holds for this? It's starting to blow up with some other interest, we'll say, in brokers. Hello, QuantBot. All right. So I'm assuming Sean has the last comment, and he answered. Great. So here we are, everybody. Want to do the quantum time space reality shift again? Whoa. And just like all other orders, if I sent this order and it's a live order, and again, we used our buy buttons up top, I'm looking at that saying, yeah, that's not quite at the low of the day. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust that. And I have now adjusted that using the old eyeballs. So it looks like, guys, William and Sean, you guys have that little ratchet next to your name, that little wrench next to your name. So you've been designated as an important dudes. Before anybody asks, we are not recording these, to my knowledge. The intent is to keep it live. All right, does anybody need any help with anything? Let's see, here's Tesla with no markings on it. Anchored Brian Shannon's anchored VWAP. How about we do it from the top? It looks like it broke through today. Actually broke through a couple days ago. Well, Andy, Jamie, Sean, this is easy. You guys get used to it. Embrace the change. Let's check in with our friend Apple, which is my market barometer today. Again, I'm really watching to see what's going to happen with the price here on the intraday chart, if it can resolve that momentum moving average that's still ominously pressing down on it. And being that it is Apple, the market does really pay attention to Apple, so that's what we'll watch today. Going down the line, a lot of defensive stuff. Gold miners defensive, natural gas, silver, treasuries. Oof. Sean, I saw JC and all the guys, Bruni, saying treasuries want higher prices, I believe was the title. And I agree. Charts don't lie. Look at that. Inverted bottom. Higher low. Kind of breaking out of that down channel. You don't need to know the why sometimes. This is just what it's doing. That's a pretty solid move there for the Treasury bonds over the last couple months. Yes. Quick question. I'm waiting for them. I notice you see buy and sell notations on the regular, not premium version of the charts. It's going to be the version you're in. It doesn't matter what premium or subscription that you have. You just want to get on the most premium version. And what we did is we snuck in one there towards late last week. What you want is, I don't know if 15 is available, but at least 4.2.134 should be available. Let's take a look, shall we? We'll go to Great Ideas main website. We'll just grab the download software, easy button, scroll down, and this is the one at the bottom. So if you don't have, it's not a very good job at labeling this. See, there's two versions. This is where sometimes people can get hung up. They go to the page, they go, oh, here's our version. But you forget we've got this little secret button down here, the beta. I would imagine, Lego days, you need to get down here and download this beta. And when you do so, you will start to see the chart buttons enabled for you. Doesn't matter what version or subscription you take. All right. Yeah, give that download version a shot. I bet you have it. Well, some pause for the last couple of days. Tweeted it, and let me take a moment to show you how the markets work these days. This is what the matter of fact this is what the jam down buy is looking for. It didn't show up on this scan, but this is the scenario it's looking for. Look at what happened. A very solid chart on the daily with the pause again. PAAS, a silver chart, a nice looking wedge there. It's going to resolve itself one way or the other. But the way those dastardly algos work, look what they did this morning. I mean, if you can see that first 15-minute candle, it went down and took out Friday and Thursday's lows just for fun. Even though there was a tremendous amount of buy pent up in there, obviously, looking back to today. So this is the kind of stuff you see all the time with algorithms making markets, and it's only going to get worse with free commissions and brokers selling out all your orders. So if you can, avoid good till canceled stop orders while you drive to work, because this is what they're trying to hit you for. Say thank you very much after they hung you upside down and shook the shares out of your pants, and they laugh while they take your shares higher. I see that all too often. And so the jam down buy actually kind of looks for those type of new low pokes in the morning to try and maybe be a contrarian. If you're talking about flags on the chart, the buys and sells, that's our past AI calls. Yeah, some traders like to keep an eye on those levels. So he's talking about like these past things back here. I assume that's Andy. I don't know who that is. Or maybe that's Michael. Trade Ideas. Lego Day says, yeah, that's it. I didn't realize they were AI pass calls. They are useful. No, actually, a good point. In regular subscription, do they see those buy sell tags in a regular subscription? That's a great question. I do not know the answer. Maybe somebody will type that. What I was going to get at a moment ago is Newmont and pause. I'm long both of these, but the problem is we go back to pause, and you can see what we've done is we've tried to really get your attention now when you're swing trading and something has earnings. I believe in this company, but I'm not really one to like to swing trade and hold through earnings. So if I can get a nice push in this trade, I will take it. And what will I take? I'll take anything up in this level. between now and tomorrow. I might be able to get that from earnings. We'll see. All right, approaching the bottom of the hour in our inaugural live YouTube channel broadcast. Anything goes. Anything you guys want to talk about? The word will get out. I don't think the marketing department's completely caught up yet on getting the emails and the links out to remind people that this is the new format. So I imagine we will be looking at more people coming in here throughout the week. Sweeney says GLD. That is a stock in itself. Yes, look at that. It's got earnings behind it too. Yep. So on a chart like this, that looks awesome. But let me kind of put it back in perspective. Back to my moving averages. When a candle starts to separate as much as this one has from the 10-period moving average down here, I get a little nervous. I'd be taking profits if I was in this thing and had been in this. But what I might do is come back here. I'm going to look at that high back here. Corresponds to that high right there perfectly. And I'll give myself a nudge. If it pulls back, pull back entry with a question mark, it will serve it up to me in real time. And maybe, just maybe, this moving average will be caught up to that level and everything will kind of correlate at that moment in time. In a day or two, we'll see, or 3. Yeah, that's a good looking move there as well. I think you're starting to see with the Treasury chart I looked at, with the gold and silver chart we looked at, starting to see a little nervousness out there. People are not going to dismiss this coronavirus, which some people want to. The market's going to keep an eye on it. And then when Apple comes out and says, yeah, it's affecting our supply chain, then it starts to get a little bit more attention. But as we're looking at the gold and the silver charts, slowly kind of trying to sneak away if nobody pays attention. All right, anybody have any questions? Because as you now can see, we can all see the same questions panel. And I got a little wrench next to my name too. That must be Michael dialing us in. Apple's getting ready to threaten the big what's going to happen here today moment, in my opinion. This over here is a great window if you don't use it. It's the My Liked symbols. You can get a copy of that on the Heart channel. Just save it to your cloud. And then once you start trading things that you want to keep an eye on, just use that heart symbol there. I'm going to put Apple back in because I want to keep an eye on Apple, not LARPL. Oh, it's already in there. Okay, so the heart is turned on. And then as the day progresses, you can just kind of quickly come through and keep an eye on the things that you've been interested in. And at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of intraday. This might be good here. So I'm going to go back to pause. It's been respecting that 10-period moving average, not even a threat. Newmont is beginning to possibly threaten that 10-period moving average. Silver is threatening that 10-period. So let's take this a step further. That one's starting to bleed through it. Let's take this a step further and go to our just the 3 trades in NEO. I like to focus on the AI NEO only pretty much. There are some other good ones that can sneak in there. 2.0 is soon to become a swing trade channel, but the NEO is, in my opinion, the best because we have the best sample of trades being shown to us in terms of relative volume. Look what I circled up there. The 3 trades we're going to look at here in NEO. 26 times normal volume, 700 times normal volume, and 5. This is more like it, 5 times normal volume. So I want to show you, and somebody that might be new to trading saying, okay, so the AI is serving up these trades. Well, now what do I do? Well, you first accept the fact that you're going to learn every day. We're all still learning here, and you never stop learning. And watching and observing is where all the learning and education comes. So one of the things I try to do to keep it simple for people, if they've never really looked at many charts, is, again, put that 10-period simple moving average up on your intraday charts. And I use that as my one and only binary decision-making process. Let's start with sequence. This is a long, okay. Should I still be in sequence? We bought it here. It's going higher. My moving average tells me what? Sit on your hands. Don't get out yet. Now, you could also consider maybe taking a little bit of profits up here, maybe even half while it goes to highs. That's always nice rather than waiting. But if I turn my back on this and I see a candle close below that 10-period intraday moving average, that tells me the momentum has waned. It's probably time to get out. So what I'm saying is a super simple way to manage the trades that come out of the AI Neo. Great entry here, that blue line. You haven't had any pain yet. Just use that moving average. That's all you need to do, in my opinion. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, we're in the money. We never really traded below the entry, and we're starting to get our inflection point here coming up in the moment. Ideally, if the momentum is still intact, with 700 times normal volume, this should bounce off that moving average and move higher. If it doesn't and just starts to chop sideways or bleed down through it, I would get out. Our last example here has already failed us, so let's take a look at where it failed us. It was a long, it failed us almost immediately. It got stopped out, so we shouldn't even be looking at this one. And not only that, it stopped out, and it's a lot lower than where we currently are. So as you can see, the stop out is right about $99 to $100. And why is that? Because when I'm looking at the AI module, the way I want to see it is go to options. I would like to see every risk take on $100. So if the trade doesn't work and it gets stopped out, it's going to equate to about $100. And that's exactly what we have. So 10-period SMA on a 15-minute chart. If you're looking for something simple and you're new, you're not quite sure how to gauge price action or things, maybe consider using one of those. See if I'm missing anything over here. Michael says they're being auto-recorded. Good to know. Very good to know. So I guess we will have the ability to auto-record. Question has come in. See, you guys can all see it. Which moving average is that and how is it displayed? So 10-period moving average. So right-click in any chart. I recommend just doing this. Go to indicators and then drop SMA and then just click OK. Okay, and then from there, go to modify indicators. And the one that you just dropped will probably say 20. Just change that to a 10. I think it defaults to 20. I've just changed that to an SMA 10 on my intraday charts. And you can see the price average on sequence here is getting scared and moving higher because it doesn't want to close below that moving average. All right, so hopefully that showed you there. Lego days out. I like to do it in two pieces. Load it and then qualify it. So load it with the indicator and then modify it. All right. Let's check our attendance. It's slow. Hey, it's creeping up. How about that? It's going viral, man. I have a question. It's a simple one. The difference is between alerts and filters. Yep. Let's say you've got 3% up today on an alert, but 5% up today on a filter. Does the filter trigger an alert or vice versa? No. So there's a difference between having an A window, the A window, and the T window. If you'll notice, the T window does not have an event. There's no new high or new low. It's nothing but filters. So if we go in here, Just a couple of filters. There's no event. Whereas when you go to the A window, we have to have an event, new high, new low, etc. And the filters determine when we see it. So if you're wanting to see something that you have 3% up today on an alert, but 5% up today on a filter. Okay, so you're only going to have that one option. It's either going to be 3 or 5. The alert is going to be the new high. But if you want to see things that are a minimum up 3%, you would effectively, go to the filter and change from close. A minimum 3. Oops, that's actually different than what I have in there. It's not even close, but if I turn that off and you come in here, off means off, Steve, and then check this button, it says the price was up at least 3% from the close. So you've satisfied the up 3% part. You just are going to rely on the event of a new high to show you as it's making a new high. Each time it does that, you're going to get a new stamp. Whereas the windows, the top list window refreshes every 30 seconds regardless. And so it's just giving me a list of all the stocks that have really good short floats and good scores. Does that make sense? Lego days, hopefully. Look at this ZM here, just randomly in the A window. Okay, randomly the Z window is showing my 10-period moving average, not failing that particular one. So he says back in the A window only. Okay, so yeah, you're not gonna see the new high if you have it set for 3.5%. And the new high is at 3.25%, you're not going to see that new high until it hits a minimum of 3.5%. Then you'll start seeing those new highs. Okay, I think you can set a different alert window. Let's just see here on the new high. I think you're thinking about days. And what you also might be thinking about is, let's see, let's do 5-minute high. And is there a qualifier on that? No. You must be thinking about this because this is the only qualifier we have, and it's the amount of days. So if I only want to see a new high that's a brand new 5-day high, we could put a 5 in there. But these windows are left blank by default, so we make sure that we see all the intraday stuff. That might be what you were seeing earlier, because there's really no way to qualify a new high. It is what it is. It's either a new high or it's not. Whether we see it or not is determined on where we have our filters set. So here's a paper trade mode. I'm looking at this. Now this isn't working, and I can't remember why it was on there. So I'm going to look at the lows of the day here, and I'm just going to assess what's that 46.52. I'm going to right click inside here, 46.50, and it will pop a red line in there. And I can turn my back on this paper trade, which means nothing. But the point is it does mean something. It's repetition. It's practice. It's going over. Had a guy come in today to support, and he was live, but he had at least 7 days of paper trading behind him, and he still said, "Wow, even with 7 days of paper trading, this still has my undivided attention here in live mode." So there's really no limited amount of paper trading you can do before you come in and flip everything on live. You'll make a lot of mistakes and a lot of easier, cheaper mistakes if you do them in paper mode. Let's check in on our market barometer. Apple. Uh-oh. Okay, well, we might have a little resolution here. If that can hold, and Apple does not go any lower today and trades back into the range, then the momentum to the downside, at least the threat of it, might be subsiding. Let's look at the bigger picture. Look at that. Yeah, the Qs are happy. S&Ps are starting to bounce a little bit, so we'll see. Hello, Andrew. Welcome. Just catching up over here. All right. Do we have any questions that need attention? All right, Chris. Do you have your Brokerage Plus connected to? No, I don't. I have it connected to, there's two options. I have it connected to the Trade Ideas in-house simulated trading. If you want to go to Interactive Brokers and you want to do live trading, you must remember this. You have to have a funded account and be paying for live data. Because when you do this version, the Interactive Brokerage live data needs to be funded and turned on, as well as you have the Trade Ideas live data turned on. If you just try to connect here and trade through IB's version on the paper trade module and you're not paying for live data on their side, it's going to create tremendous confusion. So, Chris, I would ask, is there any reason you're not connecting through our in-house simulated? I mean, it can be done, but it's so much more trickier if you go through the Brokerage Plus version of paper trading. I mean, sorry, if you go through the interactive brokerage connection socket drop down live / paper trading and all those configurations. Because if not, if there's no reason, that's the reason we built the in-house version. Everything resides on our servers, much less confusion. If you need more help, we have a series of videos. One of the guys in there can probably drop it that Michael created. Connecting Brokerage Plus to Interactive Brokerage, whether live or paper. Some of the things you need to do on the trader workstation end. You literally need to go into settings, which I don't have on here, and change the settings and the ports and things like that. You do it once and then you're good to go. Trying to transition. Account is created and will be funded in a few days. Why don't you wait those couple days? Because what you want, Chris, is you want to make sure that your account is funded and they do have you turned on for live data. Because if you try and jump the gun early, it's going to create confusion. You don't want that. So I would say stay with the Trade Ideas paper connection until they've told you, yes, you have live data and your account is funded. Then, yeah, we'll talk about connecting in paper mode with IW Traders Workstation, IB for a few days, work out the kinks there for a few days, and then unleash the hounds. Anybody out there obviously coming in and being excited about it is normal. It's a cool, great product. But you want to take it slow. If ever there was something to crawl before you walked, and then walked before you jogged, and jogged before you sprinted, this is going to be it. If you're going to come in and connect live, and chances are you're going to have some user error. It's just based on what we've seen. So take it slow out there. It's a very powerful program. You're not just going to jump in a jet plane and hit the throttle, are you? You're going to want to do a little simulated flying first. Right, regarding configuring columns in an A window. If you have multiple windows, can you make them all look the same? Columns in the A window are going to be done. I'll tell you the easiest way. Well, the easiest way is to not lock up your damn platform. Let's start with that. For some reason, sometimes on my this thing Broadcasting and paper trading is slowing down. It's definitely the broadcasting. There we go. Question again was columns. The easiest way to do columns, if you want to see something but not filter for it, is really to just go to search. You want to see where the ATR is, but not scan for it. Average true range. I thought we had it. I thought we had ATR. That's funny. Okay. So you want to see what the average number of prints is a day. You want to see what the average volume is a day. Anything you see in here, you can grab. VWAP, where's the VWAP? You want to see that in the column, highlight it, and click Show Column. And then it immediately takes you to the columns page. You want to go back and see something else, find something else you were looking for. ADX, ADI, you want that, Show Column. So that's the way in which you can add columns. Once you've done that, you can drag and drop and format them. But I believe there was another part to your question. If you have multiple windows, can you make them all look the same? Oh, default. Yeah, so what he's saying is, guys, is he builds an A window, and then he likes to have 6 or 7 familiar columns. Then he wants to go build a new window. Well, take notice here, because look, what we've done, and I think this will solve it, what we've done is, see, when I went to, let me try this. When I go to build a new one, new alert window, this is what we have. Here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you build one the way you like it. Have all the columns in there the way I showed you. Configure it. Go to search. Grab everything that you want. Create a column. Arrange the columns. Do everything you want. And then make this one last step. Make a template. Come in here and do save or share to cloud. Save to cloud, but call it my A window template with columns. Even didn't spell it, but who cares? So now, when you want to load a brand new window, you're basically starting with all that. That's probably the best way to do it. Because unless I'm missing something, like a set as default, typically when you go into configure something new, it's going to have your last settings in there. But using the cloud, once you've created the one you want, make that your template, right click, save it to cloud, and then every future alert you build from there, just change the event, and you'll still have all those columns. It'll be kind of an easy placeholder for you. That's the best thing I can suggest, Lego days. Well, already I can tell this is going to be a hit, this new format, because we essentially have, almost 3 times the amount of people in here than we did in our normal, go-to webinar classroom. And Apple is being stubborn. Still not out of the woods yet. Yes, Sean agrees. We should have done this long ago. We get thick-headed around here sometimes, and it takes somebody like Sean to kick everybody in the ass and get things done. And do it a week early, as far as Scott's concerned. All right, everybody, I'll go another 10 minutes. So what shall we talk about? Long day to go still. Real curious to see how Apple's going to close, as I've hinted at many times. Yes, Lego Days, that's one of the main reasons we did it. And Michael is definitely also on the cutting edge of how to do this stuff correctly, so a lot of credit to him for nudging us in the right direction. Yep, all you need is a bookmark. If you're going to sit in the DMB and wait and wonder why haven't they called the B series of numbers yet, you can just click into one of these, because we will be here every day. We recognize the program, well, we recognize one, the user base is growing and the features are growing and getting more and more uh, feature rich, in depth, powerful, to use all the correct synonyms. This is needed. So if you guys know that you can count on an East Coast noon, Monday through Friday time to come in here and get what you need answered, because let's face it, guys, the telephone doesn't work. We can't sit there and say, well, you see that A window? You don't want that. And so on and so on. How about some tips on good filters we might not know about? Okay, if you don't know about the relative volume, you definitely want that filter because, as I showed you a moment ago, the Neo primarily keys off of relative volume. That's important. The next ones that come to mind are position and ranges. So let's say you want to look at a chart and you just want to back yourself out of it. Like you're looking at this day right here. Let's forget the last 2 days. Let's just focus on this day. How do I find something like this that is breaking out? Okay, let's count these days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. Perfect. Position in 20-day range. So when we go back to this day here, and we say, how do we catch something like this? You know, when they essentially, let me draw that line for you. When they essentially pop out of that range. On good volume, I might add. So our relative volume, shoot, if we have 2.0 relative volume in there, that's probably a great place to start. But how do we find the stuff that's breaking out of a range? So we would use a very powerful filter. And I say that because it's powerful in many time frames. We can use it in today's range. Position today in yesterday's candle is a good one too. Like if you want to break out a new high above yesterday's high, but you don't want to see that until it breaks yesterday's high, you would use position in previous day's range. Now all the position and range filters are the same. They're going to take your time frame and they're going to look at, in this case, 20 days is our time frame. We're going to look at that 20-day history. 0 would have been our low of that 20-day range, and 100 would have been our high in that 20-day range. So therefore, if we use that filter and we say minimum 100, or let me pose this to you. A lot of times people come to us and say, hey, do you have a scan that shows us when a stock is about ready to break out? Well, we can never show you definitively a stock's about ready to break out. You need a crystal ball for that, and we don't sell those. But if we think about position in a 20-day range, if 100 equals the minimum that it broke out of a 20-day range, and now we're going to see all the new high with relative volume, why couldn't we come back here and say we could cap this at 100 and show me all the ones at the 98th percentile? So now this would be the configuration for all the ones that haven't broken out of a 20-day range yet. So you could do the same thing with a 10-day range, the same thing with a 5-day range, or the same thing with position in yesterday's range. Only stocks that are close to breaking out but haven't done so. But again, let me switch it up. If you do it like this, minimum 100, well, 100 is our 20-day high, so now we are above the 20-day high regardless. It has already happened. So those are two different ways in which you can use that same filter to try and find, has it already happened or is it possibly close to happening? And then, of course, tie that with your relative volume. Something similar to 2.0 relative volume means that this stock for this time of day at 12:55 Eastern is doing 2 times the normal run rate or the normal pace of volume for what that symbol normally does. So you combine those two things and you can get some really powerful things, stuff to come out. But my advice is when you're trying to build an alert is start from what does the chart look like that you're trying to find and when did you want to find it, like I did here. And then just kind of zoom out. Well, where is it in the position of 20-day range? Where is it in the position of 5-day range? And you can kind of talk your way through it. Sweetie B says, I received an alert that TI was going live. See, that's the other reason that Michael Noss nudged us. He said, look, all the people that have no idea you're going live and all of a sudden they get a notification, all you have to do, and I'm sure somebody can tell us where if you don't do it, is pull up the TI live streaming and click the alarm bell and be notified when these things start. Andrew says you could try when the 30-minute candle is flat, then break out. Okay, so let's try that. 30-minute is flat. How would we do a 30-minute flat? I'm going to show you something called 30-minute range. 30-minute range in percent. Let's add that filter, and let's cap that at, say, 0.25%, meaning the low and the high of the 30-day candle is no more than 0.25%. That's pretty tight, maybe something like 50%. So even if you're looking at a 5-minute candle, you're going to see a very, very tight range, 0.5%, over the last 30 minutes. So 6 candles with very tight ranges because the low of the 30-minute range to the high is not exceeding 0.5%. So that's one way you can try to identify tight ranges. And you could do the same thing with days. We could do 5-day range. And the 5-day range, same thing. Maybe we want to show no more than 1.5% movement from high to low in that 5-day range. Both of those on 2 different time frames are going to give you real skinny time frames. Andrew, fault meant 0. You could try when 30-minute candle is flat. Oh, 30-minute candle is 0, and then breakout. Okay, here's something. I got another one for you. If you want a 30-minute doji, let's just go to alerts and see if we already have an event for that. Doji. 30-minute doji. There you go. So 30-minute candle's flat. What'll happen is once that candle has closed and the new candle starts to draw, this event will pop up and show you, hey, we just started drawing a new candle, but guess what? That last 30-minute candle was a doji. That's another way to attack this. When you say check out the candle, that's the way I would look at it. So there's, as usual in trade ideas, there's a couple different ways to kind of approach what it is you're looking to identify. Let's check in with our AI trades and see if anybody or if there was any need to get out of them. Sequence is still above its 10-period moving average. No need to sell that one. Look at that. Since while we were talking, the 10-period moving average resolved the price of BLPH and kicked it higher. So 2 out of 3 of the AIs are still open and working. Lego, when you have a column that says count, it's telling you how many times the event has come through. So if you have a new high, it's probably made 59 new highs today. And there's a way in which you can throttle that. On the A window, you go to, I believe you go to Properties. Let me pull this out so you can see it. You go to Properties. And don't repeat. Don't repeat is an option under Properties, and it looks like this. So if you have way too many counts in there, you don't want to keep seeing new high every 10 seconds, you can say, look, show me the new high only once every 5 minutes, or show me the new high once every 15 minutes. But the count is going to tell you how many times your event has triggered. And so you're going to be receiving high counts when you use new highs and new lows on stocks in motion. All right. Hey, look at the time. I need a drink of water and a bathroom break. So unless there's any last one question that I can quickly hit here, we will go ahead and call our first inaugural live broadcast day a pretty good success, I think, on all accounts. If you tell your friends, if your friends are traders and they haven't seen this, have them stop by one of these days, and they might say, "Well, hey, can you show me a Bollinger Band breakout on a 60-minute with relative volume?" Sure. Or no. Am I still doing? Yes, we're back off of the test drive schedule, which has given us a bit of a breather. So I will be back doing my normal Tuesday afternoon webinar once we go through a meeting and catch up on emails and figure out what the hell I'm going to talk about today. I will be there. Yeah, so it looks like we hit about 25 or 30 as our high water mark, which is, again, much better than the coordinated webinars, GoToMeeting, live, click, Where's my link? It's in your spam folder. Blah blah blah. Those are days gone by. So thanks everybody. I think we did a good job. We'll be back tomorrow. Save the link. Hit the alarm bell on the YouTube channel to make sure you get notification of when these live streams start back up, and we'll take this to the next level. All right. Goodbye, everybody.